So just what is behind these riots? We heard a few ideas in Laura's report right there. But should this all be a warning for the United States? I mean, spending on wars, cuts to social programs, all things going on here. Also, what do the police tactics going on in the UK mean for people protesting in democracies in general, the United States included? Joining me to talk about all of this is Catherine Dill. She's lead reporter for Truth March, and independent journalist Luke Radowski. Thanks, you guys, for being here.
Thank you.
So, Luke, I kind of want to start with you because you were just in Europe. You were just in London. Did you feel any sense or any premonition that this was boiling under the surface and something like this would happen?
I mean, almost everywhere I went in Europe, there was protest against the rising cost of living. There's austerity measures, there's bankers devaluing the currency, so there was a feeling of resentment, of resistance, but right now it's being carried out in a very wrong way, and people are just reacting instead of acting towards a solution, and they're only creating a bigger problem right now, which is very sad.
Well, whether it's right or wrong, you saw this coming.
I pretty much did. I mean, what's happening here in the United States, I mean, I grew up in Brooklyn, and there wasn't 1 week where me or one of my friends was either targeted by the police, intimidated, and had my rights violated. So I understand where these people are coming from, especially with the culture of consumerism. People are just going out there, they're desperate, they don't know what they're doing, and they're just acting out, acting stupid, and creating more problems for their country.
Do you think that this could happen in Brooklyn, in the United States, in areas that are affected by poverty, lacking social mobility? Targeted by the police, like you just mentioned?
I mean, the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. The bankers are going out of control. This is very likely in the United States. I hope it doesn't happen because it's hurting people. It's breaking down communities. A good solution is coming together non-violently, peacefully, taking, an example is taking money out the banks instead of burning down communities and businesses owned by people who are getting screwed over. But this is very much likely going to happen in the United States, and be ready for it.
And Catherine, Luke saying that this is maybe not the way to act out in reaction to all of these things that are going on in your country, in your society, but it is caused by all of these issues that are very there and that bring about this reaction. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, a riot is the language of the unheard. What do you think the message is of these people? What do you think is the language that they're trying to speak?
Well, I think that right now we have an instance of a lot of disenfranchised youth where they're bombarded with messages of, consumerism. They come from lower income families, and there's not a lot of opportunities afforded to them, and really a way that they see their self-worth or their ability to get a message across is by consuming, and now they finally are given an opportunity to be in control of a situation. So I think that they're taking an opportunity right now. I think that it has less to do with political grievances and more so to do with a disenfranchised youth taking advantage of an opportunity to take what they feel they're owed.
So why do you think they're burning their own pubs? There have been reports that they're looting their own bars. Why would you do that? If things are bad, do they want your bars? I
mean, the police are actually allowing this to happen. I had a friend I was talking to last night on Facebook, and he told me that he saw the police stand back and watch as rioters looted a whole building, burned down a whole building, and weren't doing anything. This plays into the role of the problem, reaction, solution. They want this problem to occur. They want the people to feel angry at the protesters, at the people who are rioting as well right now, because they want to clash in on them. And we've seen this in Toronto during the G20. Police let anarchists burn down a police car. Then they came in and arrested everybody. So this is actually a huge step back for the people in England who actually want real change. And that's what they're telling me. I
mean, I was at the G20 in Toronto, and police just didn't have the control over, even though there was such a large police presence there, the Black Bloc, anarchists, whatever you want to say, police didn't, allow them to do that. They just didn't have the control over them. You don't have the same...
I was in Pittsburgh. I was actually not allowed into Canada, but I was at the Pittsburgh G20. And
well, I was there, and I saw what was going on, and police just didn't have control over those people.
At the Pittsburgh in G20, I saw anarchists go out and break buildings. Police officers were just watching, breaking windows, and we're just watching. Then the next day, they came in with thousands of police officers. They had the manpower in Pittsburgh. They gathered everybody up, corralled everybody, just like they did in London during their G20 protest. They were very efficient there. They even killed a man, arrested a lot of people. But here, we're watching the police step back. So I think this plays into something that the system wants. The system wants us to keep fighting each other, destroying our communities. communities instead of building communities and being there for each other. So this, as the bankers are looting the economy, they're sitting back watching as we destroy each other, and this is a very sad state of affairs that we're viewing right now.
Okay, and in response to this, what you're calling a sad state of affairs, one of the things we've seen police do is target people with social media. So BlackBerry, everybody was organizing using, BBM, messaging each other to figure out where to go, how to get around police, that sort of thing. You have one lawmaker who wanted BlackBerry to suspend messaging altogether, and you have BlackBerry cooperating, saying, essentially they'll do what they can to help the authorities. Catherine, what do you think about that? Is that right or wrong?
Well, I think that that's a big threat to our civil liberties. And we can see instances like that happening here in the U.S. I mean, in response to flash mobs in Philadelphia, the mayor, Michael Nutter, he made a 9 p.m. curfew and, basically telling parents how to raise their children. And, Rahm Emanuel in Chicago set up an 8:30 p.m. curfew, and depending on which violation you're at, you could be fined anywhere from $500 to $1,500. So, and that's not even to go into other violations of our right to privacy, such as, the Patriot Act, that have been around for longer.
So essentially, if you think if this was going on in the United States, will we be seeing the same thing? Will we be seeing BlackBerry do what they can to help authorities? Will we be seeing mobile phone companies hand over anything they can in order to help police?
There's NSA offices in Verizon, in T-Mobile, in all the major companies. But right now, today, the NYPD actually announced that they're actually setting up a new Facebook division that will monitor and control. I mean, this is no surprise. I mean,
right. We don't talk about NSA offices in Verizon Wireless. I don't know about that. I don't know your sources on that.
Yeah.
But we do talk every day about the expansion of the Patriot Act, where you don't have accountability for warrantless wiretapping, that sort of thing. So do you think the same measures would be used here in the U.S. if this was going on?
I mean, they already are. I mean, there was one guy who put up a flash mob at the Federal Reserve, and he came there. He was the only person who came there. There was NYPD officers. There was about 100 of them surrounding the building, and they were all talking about hundreds and thousands of people that were supposed to come and storm the Federal Reserve. Meanwhile, it was just one guy who posted the event by himself, and the NYPD were already monitoring and watching what was going to happen. So they're already, they're going to cooperate. They're already spying on us. They already know what people are going to do before they do it here.
Well, then my next question is, what do you think would happen if, you don't have the United States saying, what is UK doing, cracking down through BlackBerry or, searching people out through Twitter or whatever, using mobile phone companies, but yet you hear, in reaction to the Arab Spring, the U.S., say that China shouldn't be cracking down on internet dissent, something that a Chinese newspaper even came out and said, hey, this just shows that internet freedom and what we've been doing is the right way to go. Do you think there's hypocrisy? Do you think if this was going on, these tactics that are going on in the UK was happening in Venezuela or China, we'd hear the U.S. say, hey, you can't crack down on social media, that you need to encourage democracy? What do you think, Catherine?
I think that there's definitely an instance of hypocrisy here. I think that even our own government has been talking about legislation to monitor our own internet. So it's very much so they say one thing and they do another. It's a lot of doublespeak. And
Luke, I know there are CCTV cameras on every corner of London. You were just there. Are they everywhere you look? How come they haven't helped? Wouldn't you think that would help police to
exactly. The system of control, the system, grid, and control in London is extremely scary. There's cameras everywhere you go. You drive in a car, there's speed cameras every single street you go on. It's just insane. They have facial recognition cameras. As soon as you come into the country, they take pictures of your whole body, and they know who you are. They know exactly where you're going.
So then where is all that going if it can't help them to have order on their streets?
Well, it's used efficiently against protests like the G20 in Toronto in London, and also other people who protest and want to get messages out, like what happened with Charlie Beach when he was arrested for a pre-crime incident just for calling for a protest at the royal wedding. So they're using this against dissent. This is playing into the favor of the system.
But how are they using it against dissent? Everybody's on the street expressing dissent, looting buildings, burning
right now,
things down.
they want people to burn buildings. They want people to riot. They want this situation to occur. It's order out of chaos. They're going to take more control, more power, more money for the police budgets are going to come into hand because of this. And now people in London are actually saying that one out of every three people in London are saying that the police actually shoot and kill these people. So this is having a very negative reaction against the people who are actually trying to do something here.
If that was the case, then why wouldn't they institute curfews now?
I don't know. I mean, it seems like they want this to happen in order to get more control, in order to possibly even set up martial law in London.
We'll wait to see if anything like that happens. But one of the things, the British mainstream media, you've seen media reports where they're saying they want to help identify protesters, that sort of thing. Is that right or wrong, Catherine? What do you think, being a journalist yourself?
Well, no, I mean, it would be very nice to be able to identify I don't know if you're talking about protesters or by protester you mean the people that are looting.
Well, that's the thing. It's hard. How do you tell the difference? Are you going to crack down on anybody that's identified as being out on the streets? Right,
exactly. Well, I mean, I think that if there's clear evidence that someone was taking something, then it would be fine to charge them accordingly. I mean, these people should be held accountable for what they're doing. They're vandalizing small business owners and stealing property. So, I mean, that's not a good thing or something that should be encouraged or go unpunished. But I don't. So, I mean, if it's possible to see who these people are,
then you think it's okay.
Then it's okay, but I don't think that advanced security measures are the answer.
Really quickly, we're out of time. I just want to ask you one more question, Luke. I mean, you're saying that London would use this to crack down, or the UK would.
Yeah.
What are they going to do? Throw everyone in jail for 16 months, like they sentenced that Pink Floyd guitarist adopted son who protested at a student rally? I mean, can they put everybody in jail for 16 months? How are they going to handle that? All these looters on the streets?
The prison industrial complex, yeah, sure, why not? They're making a ton of money off of it, and it works in their favor, but they're not doing it. So.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens. I appreciate you guys for coming in and giving us your take from our side of the pond on what that means for the UK and for us. That was Catherine Dill, lead reporter for Truth March, and independent journalist Luke Rudowski.